All right, so we're going deep on this one. Dark matter literature, but not the space kind.
Right, not like science fiction exactly.
More like a whole different way to think about, like, the world,
Yeah.
and how we tell stories about it.
Yeah, it's this idea from an author, Larissa C. Douglas, and, well, it's pretty mind-blowing.
So what's the deal? Give us this quick rundown.
Basically, she uses dark matter as, like, a metaphor. You know how astronomers, they can't actually see it, dark matter, but they know it's out there because of its effects.
Yeah.
So she's saying there's this kind of like unseen reality all around us too,
Hmm.
in our own lives and history, and it's like impacting everything.
Okay, so like hidden conspiracies or parallel universes. Is that what we're
Yeah,
talking?
no, not quite that. Think of like people whose voices don't get heard, or the stuff that like history books just leave out.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, and Douglas's argument is that these blind spots, these missing pieces, they actually hold a lot of power, and meaning.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. So how does she like bring this to life in her writing? How do we actually see this dark matter literature?
So one way is through this dark matter goddess character. Now, it's not like a religious thing.
Okay. Yeah.
It's more like a symbol of this hidden power we're talking about.
Okay.
And she even gives her different names from different cultures, like Isis, Shiwangmu. It's pretty fascinating.
Well, hold on. So a goddess who's also like a symbol for like missing history. That's pretty wild. Is that connected to her background at all? Because I know she's a historian, right?
Totally. She wants to take that historical lens and like apply it to this, she calls it a full spectrum reality.
Oh.
Like there's the history we see, and then there's this parallel history of all the stuff that's been overlooked.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm starting to see how this dark matter literature thing works.
Mm.
But how does she make it a story? Right? Because it's not just an academic theory. It's literature.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that work?
Well, she's big on blending fact and fiction. She uses genres like magical realism, where, magical stuff just pops up in everyday life.
Yeah.
And then there's SlipStream, which is this whole other thing. It mixes like sci-fi, fantasy, and, well, it's hard to explain, but it's really cool.
I can get like magical realism. That's like oh, I don't know, a talking cat in an otherwise normal story or something.
Exactly, yeah.
But Slipstream sounds a little trippy. I don't know if I...
It can be. It's about this like feeling that something's not quite right,
Okay.
It makes you question what's real, which kind of makes sense for exploring the unseen.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like she's using these genres to make you feel that hidden reality, not just like think about it.
I get it.
It's very cool.
Okay, that's cool. And this is going even deeper, right?
Yeah.
Because like she also spent years writing about like how technology is changing us, the early days of the internet. She's even written about like conspiracy theories.
Oh, yeah.
So is she into that stuff?
Oh, no, not at all. She was studying them as like cultural artifacts,
Oh.
like how people try to make sense of massive changes. And this actually connects directly to dark matter literature.
Okay, hold on. Unpack that a little bit. How does internet weirdness lead to a whole new genre?
Think about it. The early internet, it was this explosion of information, right? It was like this whole other reality right alongside the real world. And she was right there blogging about it, like this collision of the old and the new.
So like how the internet made us question what's real and what's not. Her writing does the same thing for like history.
Yeah.
And the stories we tell ourselves about it.
Exactly. It's about that feeling of like, there's more than I can see. That's really key to this whole dark matter literature thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about what's hidden, but the impact that hidden stuff has on, well, everything else.
Mm.
It's really, really fascinating stuff. And keep in mind, her background is in history, but she was also writing about, like, cutting-edge science, like quantum entanglement, research at CERN.
Hold up, CERN. That's where they, like, smash atoms.
Yeah.
Right? What's that got to do with literature?
Well, they're trying to find, like, actual dark matter particles there. But what's interesting is that idea of something unseen having like huge effects. Like dark matter, it makes up most of the universe, but we can't even see it.
So she's saying like our whole understanding of, well, everything is based on this tiny slice of reality that we can actually see.
Exactly. And that's where the dark matter goddess comes in. In one of her stories, this goddess, she emerges from a Neanderthal grave, travels through the earth to China, creates this whole garden with peaches of immortality.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, hold on. That's
Yeah.
even for magical realism, that's a wild story. What's the dark matter connection
Yeah,
there?
remember, we're talking symbols here. The goddess being buried and then like breaking through to the surface, like those hidden voices struggling to be heard, you know?
Oh, okay. So she's literally like embodying those blind spots we were talking about.
Totally.
Okay, I get it. But why a goddess specifically? Couldn't it be like a hidden king or I don't know.
Well, Douglas is really interested in like the voices of women, especially throughout history. She's saying their stories, their perspectives, they've been systematically like buried, just like this dark matter goddess.
Okay, yeah, that's powerful. So it's not just any hidden history, right?
Yeah.
It's about whose voices get silenced, especially women.
Exactly. And this connects to her use of the blind spot as like a literary device too. Think about movies like Alien or the Blair Witch Project. There's always someone who sees the danger, right? But no one listens to them because they're not taken seriously.
Oh, I totally get that. It's like it's like the intern who spots the problem, but the CEO ignores them because they're low level.
Exactly. And Douglas's argument is that those overlooked voices, they often hold the key to understanding the bigger picture, you know. They're outside the like official narrative so they can see what other people miss.
This is making me think about all the times I've like dismissed someone's opinion because I thought they didn't, know enough. Maybe I was in my own blind spot.
That's the thing about blind spots. We all have them, and Douglas is showing us how to recognize them, both in ourselves and in the world around us.
And this is getting deep. So she's using this dark matter goddess, these blind spot stories, to show us there's this whole unseen reality that's affecting us.
Right, but it's not just about recognizing those unseen forces. It's about understanding their impact. Douglas argues that by acknowledging these hidden stories, these marginalized voices, we can get a much, much richer, more complete understanding of ourselves and the world.
It's like she's saying we've been looking at this flat picture, and now she's giving us 3D glasses to see the whole thing.
That's a great analogy. And those 3D glasses are her stories. Her blend of magical realism, SlipStream, and real-world research. She's using all of this to create a new kind of mythology, one that reflects like the complexities of our modern world.
So it's not just about uncovering secrets. It's about how those secrets change the way we see everything.
Exactly. And this goes back to her fascination with the early internet. Remember, she was blogging about how this digital world was colliding with the physical one, creating this whole new layer of reality.
And she saw that as a parallel to what's happening with dark matter, this unseen force shaping our visible world.
Exactly. It's all connected. The early internet, dark matter, hidden histories, marginalized voices. She's weaving all of these threads together to create like a new way of understanding reality.
Okay, this is blowing my mind a little bit.
All right.
But how does this translate into actual storytelling? Give me an example of how she brings these ideas to life in her work.
Well, one of the most striking examples is how she describes her dark matter goddess. She says the goddess is constantly being like entombed, shut away, closed off from view, and then having to like break through into visible reality, almost like those marginalized voices we talked about struggling to be heard.
I'm getting chills. That's such a powerful image, and it connects so perfectly to what we've been talking about.
Exactly. And it's not just about the image, it's about the implications. Douglas is suggesting that those who've been silenced, those who exist in the shadows, they often hold the key to understanding the full picture. They've seen things that those in positions of power have missed.
This is making me rethink my whole approach to, like, learning. Instead of seeking out the official narrative, maybe I should be looking for those hidden stories, those voices that haven't been heard.
That's exactly the kind of shift in thinking that Douglas is trying to inspire. It's about recognizing that knowledge and truth can come from the most unexpected places.
I am so glad we're doing this deep dive. This is way more than just a book review. It's like a whole new way of seeing the world.
It is, and it's incredibly relevant to our current moment where we're like constantly bombarded with information but often struggle to find meaning or make sense of it all. Douglas is offering us a new lens, a new framework for understanding the complexities of our world.
Okay, before we move on, I need a minute to process all of this. This dark matter literature thing it's blowing my mind. I'm starting to see those blind spots everywhere now.
That's the first step. Once you start seeing those blind spots, you can't unsee them, and that's when the real journey begins.
I think I've caught my breath. This dark matter literature thing is like seriously deep. So we talked about all these unseen forces, the goddesses, the blind spots, But where does it all, like, come together? What's the big picture here?
Well, I think the big picture is that Douglas wants to change how we understand reality, like fundamentally. She's saying our normal way of seeing things is just too limited, you know? We're so focused on like what's visible, what we can measure, what's official. But she's saying there's this whole other dimension out there, this dark matter realm that's just as real and just as important.
So it's not just writing, like cool stories. She's trying to shift our whole worldview.
Exactly. She's using storytelling as a tool to like expand our consciousness. And she's doing it in a way that's both, intellectually stimulating, but also really emotionally engaging.
It's funny, when you first said dark matter literature, I thought it'd be super sciencey, like hard sci-fi or something. But it's actually more about human connection and those hidden stories.
That's the brilliance of it. She's taking these complex concepts, dark matter, quantum entanglement, the early internet, and weaving them into narratives that are like deeply personal and universally relatable.
And she's not afraid to get a little weird with it. I mean, that dark matter goddess emerging from a Neanderthal grave, that's some seriously out there imagery.
She's definitely pushing boundaries. But that's what makes her work so exciting. She's not bound by like the conventions of traditional storytelling. She's creating something entirely new, something that reflects like the strangeness and the wonder of reality itself.
It's like she's saying, hey, the universe is a lot weirder and a lot more amazing than we think. Let's embrace that weirdness and see where it takes us.
Precisely. And she's inviting us to join her on that journey of discovery, to question our assumptions, to look beyond the surface, and just to like open ourselves up to the possibility that there might be way more to reality than we could ever imagine.
So where does someone even start with dark matter literature? Like if someone's curious, where would you point them?
Oh. Well, I definitely start with that flash fiction piece we mentioned earlier, Evelyn Morganland. It's a great intro to her style and her core concepts, and it's, short and sweet, so it won't overwhelm you.
And what about her blog, Histories of Things to Come? You mentioned she was writing about the early internet and all that. Is that stuff relevant to dark matter literature?
Absolutely. It's essential reading, actually. Her blog is where she started to develop a lot of these ideas, exploring how technology was changing our relationship with like information, with reality, with each other. It's like the seedbed for dark matter literature.
So it's not just about reading her fiction, it's about understanding her whole intellectual journey in a way.
Exactly. She's a true polymath, bringing together these insights from history, science, technology, culture, and it all feeds into her work.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. I feel like I've been given a whole new set of lenses to see the world through.
That's the power of great literature, isn't it? It can change how we think, how we feel, how we perceive the world around us.
Absolutely. And on that note, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought from Douglas herself. She says, if 96% of the universe is composed of dark matter and dark energy, what stories and perspectives are we missing because they exist in the unseen realm?
What a powerful question. It really challenges us to consider just how much we don't know, and to be open to the possibility that there's just so much more to discover out there.
So if you're feeling stuck in a rut, if you're craving a new perspective, or if you're just curious about the world and all its mysteries, I really urge you to check out the work of Larissa C. Douglas. Dive into the world of dark matter literature. You might be surprised at what you find.
It's a journey worth taking, and who knows, maybe you'll even discover some of your own dark matter along the way.
That's a wrap for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Mystic waters ripple clear where Galadriel's mirror glows. Elven voices whisper near secrets that the ancient knows. In moonlit beams we silently dive through olden lands where dreams arrive. Numenor, the shining isle where legends walk the starry mile. Starlit ships on silver tide, sailing through the night so wide. In the cosmos, dark and deep,